What drives a nation to reach beyond its earthly bounds and send a human into the vast unknown of space? In the late 1950s and early 1960s, the United States faced this monumental question amidst a tense global rivalry known as the space race. Project Mercury was America's bold answer, a daring endeavor to put a man into orbit and bring him home safely, marking the country's first human spaceflight program. This story is one of innovation, courage, and determination, unfolding against the backdrop of Cold War fears and scientific breakthroughs. Over the next 10 minutes, we'll explore how Project Mercury began, the challenges it overcame, its historic missions, and the legacy it left for future space exploration. Join us as we journey through the thrilling origins of America's first steps into space. Before Project Mercury ever launched a spacecraft, the world was already watching the skies with a new sense of wonder and fear. On October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union shocked the world by launching Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite to orbit Earth. This small metal sphere, beeping in radio signals, ignited panic and awe across America. The launch shattered the illusion of technological superiority and pushed the United States to accelerate its own space efforts. In response, the U.S. government created the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, in 1958, transferring many military space projects to this new civilian agency to unify and focus America's space ambitions. Project Mercury officially began on October 7, 1958, absorbing earlier Air Force initiatives like Man in Space Soonest and aiming to achieve human spaceflights swiftly and safely. The program's name drew from Roman mythology. Mercury was the messenger god, swift and agile, capturing the spirit of speed and communication that defined the program. Project Mercury set out to accomplish a simple yet monumental goal, to put a human into orbit around the Earth and return him safely. The program was a blend of cutting-edge science and practical engineering, combining lessons learned from missile technology with the emerging field of human spaceflight. Its spacecraft, designed primarily by Maxime Faget, was a small cone-shaped capsule just large enough to hold a single astronaut, measuring about 10.8 feet long and 6 feet wide. The capsule's design prioritized safety and survival in the harsh environment of space. Inside, the astronaut was strapped to a form-fitting seat surrounded by 120 controls, switches, and instruments, all critical for navigating and managing the mission. The capsule carried enough oxygen, water, and food to last roughly 1 day, reflecting the program's initial focus on relatively short missions. The Mercury spacecraft's heat shield was a marvel of engineering, crafted from an aluminum honeycomb structure layered with fiberglass to withstand the intense heat of atmospheric re-entry. During re-entry, the capsule faced temperatures exceeding 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and the shield's ablative design absorbed and dissipated this heat, protecting the astronaut inside. Safety was further ensured by a launch escape system, 3 small solid-fueled rockets mounted atop the capsule, capable of pulling it away from the launch vehicle in case of an emergency during ascent. Recovery operations were equally important. After splashdown in the ocean, helicopters from U.S. Navy ships would retrieve the astronauts and capsules, completing the mission cycle. Ground control was vital to the success of Project Mercury. Around 18,000 personnel supported each mission, monitoring spacecraft telemetry, tracking orbits, and communicating with the astronauts. A network of 18 tracking stations encircled the globe near the equator, each with a range of about 700 nautical miles, providing crucial data and voice links during each orbit. The Mercury Control Center at Cape Canaveral coordinated these efforts, using powerful IBM 7090 computers housed at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center to process flight data and calculate re-entry parameters. Capsule communicators, or Capcoms, were astronauts themselves stationed at mission control, serving as the direct line of communication to the crew in space. The astronauts selected for Project Mercury became national heroes, known collectively as the Mercury Seven. On April 9, 1959, NASA revealed the names of these pioneering pilots: Alan Shepard, Gus Grissom, John Glenn, Scott Carpenter, Wally Schirra, Gordon Cooper, and Deke Slayton. Each was a highly skilled military pilot, tested rigorously for physical fitness, psychological resilience, and technical ability. These men were not only explorers but also public figures, participating in extensive media tours and public appearances to promote the program and inspire the American public. Alan Shepard made history on May 5, 1961, as the first American in space. Launched atop a Redstone rocket, his suborbital flight lasted just 15 minutes and 28 seconds, but proved that a human could survive the intense forces of launch and re-entry. Shepard's capsule, Freedom 7, reached an altitude of 116 miles before descending to a successful splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean. His flight was a pivotal morale boost for the U.S., coming less than a month after Soviet Yuri Gagarin's orbit. Following Shepard's suborbital journey, Gus Grissom flew the Liberty Bell 7 mission on July 21, 1961. His flight was similar to Shepard's, but ended with a dramatic recovery incident where the capsule's hatch unexpectedly blew open after splashdown, causing it to sink. Grissom escaped safely, but the loss of the spacecraft raised questions about design and procedures. Despite this, the mission was a success and helped NASA prepare for orbital flights. The first American orbital flight came on February 20, 1962, when John Glenn piloted Friendship 7 atop an Atlas rocket. Glenn completed 3 orbits of Earth, traveling over 75,000 miles in just under 5 hours. During the flight, his spacecraft's automatic control system malfunctioned, forcing Glenn to manually control the capsule's orientation to ensure a safe re-entry. His calm handling of the crisis earned him national admiration and cemented his place in spaceflight history. Scott Carpenter followed with Mercury Atlas 7 on May 24, 1962, replicating Glenn's mission with an orbital flight lasting nearly 5 hours. However, a navigational error during re-entry caused Carpenter to land 250 miles off course, delaying recovery and raising concerns about precision in splashdowns. Despite this, Carpenter's mission provided valuable data on human adaptation to spaceflight and spacecraft systems. Wally Schirra's Sigma 7 mission on October 3, 1962, focused on testing spacecraft systems and life support over a 9-hour flight. His careful monitoring and efficient piloting demonstrated the reliability of Mercury's technology, setting a new U.S. duration record and contributing to the development of longer missions. The final Mercury flight was commanded by Gordon Cooper on May 15, 1963. His Mercury Atlas 9 mission aboard Faith 7 lasted over 34 hours, completing 22 orbits and setting a new endurance record for the U.S. space program. Cooper's flight tested the limits of human endurance and spacecraft systems, confirming that astronauts could handle extended periods in space. While Deke Slayton was grounded early due to a heart condition, he remained integral to NASA's astronaut office, managing crew selections, and later returning to fly on the Apollo-Soyuz test project in 1975. Each Mercury astronaut played a crucial role in shaping America's space program beyond their flights. Project Mercury's achievements were tremendous, but the program also faced intense competition from the Soviet Union. On April 12, 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human to orbit Earth, a milestone that spurred the U.S. to accelerate its own efforts. Subsequent Soviet flights like German Titov's day-long orbital mission in August 1961 pushed the envelope further. By the time Mercury ended in 1963, both superpowers had sent 6 men into space, but the Soviets held the lead in total time spent in orbit. Nevertheless, Mercury laid the foundation for America's future space endeavors, proving that crewed spaceflight was not only possible, but could be conducted safely and with growing sophistication. The legacy of Project Mercury continues to resonate today. It established essential technologies, protocols, and human expertise that enabled the Gemini and Apollo programs, which would eventually put astronauts on the moon. The Mercury missions demonstrated the importance of rigorous astronaut training, ground control coordination, spacecraft design, and public engagement in space exploration. The program also inspired generations to dream of exploring beyond our planet's atmosphere. Moreover, Mercury's success shaped public perception and government commitment to space. President John F. Kennedy's famous 1961 speech, which set the goal of landing a man on the moon by the end of the decade, was made possible by the confidence gained from Mercury's achievements. The program also raised awareness about the roles of women and minorities in spaceflight, eventually leading to broader inclusion in later NASA missions. Today, Project Mercury is celebrated as a pioneering chapter in human spaceflight history. Its missions are remembered not just for their technical milestones, but for the spirit of exploration and perseverance they embodied. The astronauts who risked their lives in tiny capsules now stand as icons of courage and curiosity. As we look to the future of space travel, whether to Mars, the Moon, or beyond, the lessons and legacy of Mercury remain as relevant as ever. In the end, Project Mercury was more than a program. It was a bold leap into the unknown, driven by human courage and ingenuity. It showed the world that space was within reach and that humanity's journey beyond Earth had truly begun. As we continue to reach for the stars, the story of Mercury reminds us of the power of vision and the thrill of discovery. Thank you for joining us on this journey back to the dawn of American human spaceflight.